Imagine you're a college student living with 3 other roommates and you're struggling to make money stretch until your next paycheck, so you've resorted to instant noodles. You're on your very last cup of sodium-packed ramen, so you've labeled the box in big, bold letters, "Do not touch." You go downstairs to go enjoy your last cup of ramen, and you find your roommate chowing down on it, lid discarded on the kitchen counter, same exact lid with your name on it in Sharpie. And you can't say anything. You have no way of verbally expressing how you feel. Imagine how hurt and isolated and alone that must feel, not to express to your pretty stupid roommate that they just ate your last cup of food before you could get your next paycheck. Well, I guess we're all pretty lucky that we have language. On average, there's about 1 million words recorded in the English dictionary. That's 1 million different ways to articulate how you feel, make others understand, and to enlighten those around you. On average, there's about 800 to 1,000 words added to the dictionary every year. And in the 20th century alone, about 90,000 words have been added. And still, seemingly, words are insignificant, taken for granted. Why? Because of this. Actions speak louder than words. And it's funny because we have no idea who really even said this. It could have been Abraham Lincoln, Mark Twain, who knows? And yet this little quote is still used every day to belittle the importance that should be on words and what we say. But do actions really speak louder than words? Aren't words how we define everything, how we define ourselves? My beloved cousin, Sierra Joy, told the world at the click of a button that she identified as genderqueer. Don't know what genderqueer is? No worries. My mom didn't know when I told her either. Genderqueer is a person who does not subscribe to the conventional gender distinctions, but either identifies with neither, all, or a combination of the spectrum of gender. Confusing? Of course it is. Gender looks something like this, like a scatter plot with no actual trend. There is no normal when it comes to gender. There is no set boundaries to it. And so, that we as people tend to get very frustrated when we can't make sense of things, especially when we can't make sense of them through words. Which brings me back to my first point of how isolating it can really be not to be able to verbally express something. And unbeknownst to me, my own cousin was struggling with the prospect of whether she wanted to be categorized as female or male, and and she didn't really feel like either. So what then? If genderqueer wasn't a word, which it wasn't always, one has to deal with what it feels like not to have an identity, or not a verbalized one at least. I asked my cousin a couple days ago, what it felt like not to have the word genderqueer prior to when she found out what it was. And she told me she's always felt this way, and that colloquial terms helped her discover genderqueer a little bit, just like tomboy in the early 2000s. At that time, it was really just a fashion trend, but she really identified with the term, and she didn't know how to tell people that. She loved being a girl, but she also loved camo pants. It was a sliding scale for her. She told me gender is an expression, and she's a shapeshifter. And that it's really hard because everyone has different definitions for everything, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that deep. But what is deep is respect, human connection, love, and self-love. Recently, Merriam-Webster has been an LGBTQ+ community ally through the adage of new socially conscious and culturally conscious words to the dictionary. An article on Vox commented that Merriam-Webster is always trying to convey to its community that that it tends to define words because people need definitions. As an LGBTQ+ community ally myself, I also understand how it feels not to have an identity and not to be able to verbally express how you feel or when you feel that. So any form of verbal expression of who you are, whether it be claiming a physical disability or claiming a mental disability like depression or bipolar disorder, or even just personal character traits, that is really powerful, and you shouldn't let anybody tell you that you don't belong in the pages of your own language. Thank you.